This weekend's top stories are: coronavirus may keep Americans quarantined for years. Missouri Department of Conservation cancels kids' days at trout parks in May. And is marijuana really a treatment for the coronavirus? Hello, I'm Rick Kepple, and this is the April 17th edition of Missouri Ozarks Weekend News in the year 2020, a product of DR J Studio LLC, an independent studio operated by a few folks in Ozarks. Now in local news. The Missouri Department of Conservation, MDC, announced that Kids Fishing Day events in May at the state's trout parks have been canceled this year because of COVID-19. Also, the Missouri Department of Conservation says 5 random lottery drawn bull elk licenses will go on sale this fall. 4 permits for 4 hunters in the general public and 1 elk license for a qualified landowner. The department designated October 17th through 25th as an archery hunt and December 12th through 20th for firearms hunting, and the licenses are good for both seasons. Further, landowners must own 20 consecutive acres in either Carter, Reynolds, or Shannon counties. If selected for a license, the hunter must sit out for 10 years before applying for another license. For more information, go to the link in the description below. And we'll be back in a minute for national and international news.
Take it out a little deeper.
And from Washington, D.C., I will always put the well-being of America first, said President Trump in an April 15th White House press release concerning COVID-19 global pandemic. President Trump and White House officials are blaming the indecisiveness of the American response to the virus on the World Health Organization, and the administration is now threatening to withhold funding from the WHO. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi objected to that decision. Is President Trump right for blaming the WHO? How likely are accidental releases of a dangerous virus from a high-security lab in China? Those are questions we wanted to know here at DR J Studio LLC and Missouri Ozarks Weekend News. So we investigated. Lynn Klotz, a senior science fellow at the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation, wrote a story entitled Human Error in High Biocontainment Labs, a likely pandemic threat in February 25th, 2019, in the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists regarding a virus escaping a maximum security lab. Klotz wrote, incidents causing potential exposures to pathogens occur frequently. Klotz added, if the virus were a potential pandemic pathogen escaping into the community, it could lead to a worldwide pandemic. Klotz, once a Harvard University faculty member, said that such escapes are almost always immediately stopped in the surrounding community near the lab. The world's most dangerous viruses are housed in a BSL-4 or maximum security pathogen laboratory. There are currently 13 maximum security labs in the United States where the most dangerous viruses in the world are studied. The CDC said February 2018 in statnews.com that high security labs require a lot of routine maintenance to keep the pathogens locked in. In particularly, they use expensive air filtration systems that keep viruses in and scientists safe. Excuse me. The Wuhan Level 4 lab specialized in studying Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever and Ebola, both coronaviruses that jump from animals to people. Both have a high fatality rate of about 50% of those infected, and Ebola has escaped Beijing labs, according to a Nature story. The Washington Post reported April 14, 2020, that the U.S. Embassy in Beijing sent American officials to Wuhan in 2018 to determine if there was a problem. According to Post investigators, the embassy warned the State Department there was a management problem in the Wuhan lab, warning of a SARS-like pandemic. The Post spent considerable effort in finding the truth to prevent yet another pandemic. We can thank the Washington Post for that. And all the links to this story are in the description below. Okay, we'll be right back with marijuana news.
The brand I smoke.
We're back. Well, news from the world of marijuana. Is marijuana really a treatment for the coronavirus? Does it prevent lung cancer? There is no official scientific study funded by the FDA to prove that a seeded plant can heal lung tissue. Or is there? In 2013, the United States government concluded that marijuana appears to have molecules that collectively seem to help the lungs rather than hurt them. So, President Obama knew that marijuana was medically useful. The Republican Congress knew. Speaker of the House, John Boehner, certainly must have known. The effects of marijuana smoking on the lung, published by the U.S. government, was following a 30-year long-term UCLA study on marijuana and lung cancer. The federal government concluded that marijuana is less harmful than tobacco, which remains legal. The link to the web address is in the description below. In March, the DEA approved medical studies for marijuana. That's 4 years after President Trump convinced the marijuana legalization leaders to support him and he'd remove prohibition. And that is one promise he has never kept. In fact, he sided with law enforcement against marijuana. This year, the World Health Organization admitted that marijuana has medical uses, and they requested the United Nations to remove it from global prohibition. And the UN Secretary General refused. President Trump dislikes the UN, but apparently not enough to disrespect their marijuana prohibition policies to decriminalize marijuana by executive order. The Republicans also agree with the UN to leave marijuana illegal until the individuals leave office, and then they serve on weed corporation boards like former House Majority Leader John Boehner. Several media companies said that John Boehner joined Reynolds American Incorporated, a cigarette maker, in 2016 as the company's director of the board. However, we researched that, and in the Reynolds American archives, we could not find any appointment was ever done putting John Boehner on the board, much less a director. Instead, John Boehner joined Acreage Holdings, a New York marijuana investment company making CBD with a bit of THC, and also vapes with high THC and moderate CBD ingredients. John Boehner is listed as a board member. Acreage Holdings stock is up on the New York Stock Exchange as ACRGF, and stocks are up. And now news about Missouri indie makers of all degrees. We reviewed City's Biggest Heist, a 2017 independent feature film directed by Antonio Holland, edited by Louie Yokley of Takeover Films, and produced by A. Holland Group LLC. It's a slow burn story of robberies, reprisals, and cops into a really well done, realistic, very detailed script set in St. Louis and with some really great unknown actors into a first-rate story. The music selections added to the movie's drama, making the 90-minute film one of the best features made in Missouri by independent studios. Missouri has some really great talent, and you can find the feature film on YouTube at the address in the description below. In music news, the fabulous band ChristiAna will be at the Tater Patch on April 25th, 2020. Go to the Tater Patch's Facebook page in the description to see the details of the concert regarding the coronavirus and social distancing. They also have directions and a map, phone number. Remember to wash your hands often, keep your distance, and be well. Thank you very much for watching our newscast, and we hope you'll join us every week. This has been Rick Kepple with Missouri Ozarks Weekend News, recorded at the DR J Studio LLC facility near Richland, Missouri. And Lily is helping out today.
We're cooking up a pot of rock and roll stew. And here he comes on the drums, Mr. Ted Tyson. All right. Ain't that good? Yeah. Here's War Department on that electric bass. Shelly Tyson. Be good to it now, honey. Good job. Ain't that good? That don't make you want to dance to nothing, will, babe. Get up off your feet. Here he is, that boy with all the curls in his hair, Mr. Johnny Evans. His curls are getting in his eyes now. Good job. What do you think of that, folks? Ain't that cooking good? And here he comes now, all the way from we don't know where. His mom didn't even own him. On that piano. Listen now. Tickle him, Irish. Good job. Ain't that good? We're bringing it up to a boil now. Feel it? Boil. Cook. Wrap it up. I'll take it. Yeah. What do you think of that? Good for you. Wow. Yeah. Let her simmer now. Sniff that, baby. Suck on what? Yeah. Hey, hey. Ain't we doing it